Good evening and welcome to another episode of the Baseball Bums. I am Benny Scala, aka The Player. You may know me from that blue collar adult film, Sack Lunch. And we may be bums, but I am joined by the bone. I am joined by the bone beavon of Bumble Metrics, the great Jimmy Farrow. Now, I need to publicly apologize to this man. Week after week after week, I tag him with insidious titles like the Lord of Loafing or the Idol of Idol, when in reality, this is one very hardworking man. In addition to holding down a very stressful job, Mr. Farrow makes music and stars on the Monty and the Farrow flagship show. Plus, he does the bums with me every Friday night. Jimmy, can you find it in your heart to forgive me?
What are you talking about? I am very humbled. Thank you very much for those kind words. It's always a pleasure working with you. Obviously, it's been a blessing working with Mike all these years. And after all, here I am in sunny Florida with the lovely Karen McDaniel. Life is good. We gotta look at the good.
Yeah, life is great. So, Jimmy, we have a really good show tonight. It's not Ed Sullivan, right? But we don't have Topo Gigio. But we're going to look at three great teams: 1954 New York Giants, 1955 Brooklyn Dodgers, and the 1956 New York Yankees. Easy for me to say. And we're going to apply our newly developed science of Bumball metrics to see which team reigns supreme. But Jimmy, before we do that, I know you have some great background for our listeners. Your dad was an avid baseball fan during this time, and he passed down some wonderful information as far as what it was like to grow up as a fan of one of these teams. And I want to real quick show. Let's see. Show that. So it's hard to believe, but the Polo Grounds, which I think is in the upper left, in the Yankee Stadium, which is the larger image, they were literally within walking distance of each other. And then Ebbets Field was, I think, 18 miles away from both of them. But, Jimmy, take us back in time. I know you're very good at painting a picture, and that's what I want. What was it like to be a fan of any one of these teams back in the mid-'50s?
Well, New York in the 1950s. Let's really paint the picture. Television sets are just coming into the homes. In the beginning, when television sets first came around, if you had one, you were the most popular person on the block. The kids back then, and my father really said it best. He said it really wasn't about what your ethnic background was or what your religion was in those days to these kids. They all loved baseball. It was what team you rooted for. It was almost like friendly gangs, believe it or not. My father told me that Yankee fans traveled with Yankee fans, talked to Yankee fans. If you were a Giant fan, puh, and vice versa. If you're a Dodger
You're an
fan,
outsider, right? Yeah.
Yeah, forget about it. If you were a Dodger fan, my God, were you the enemy? You know,
You're a
my
left.
father, yeah, my father told me some awesome stories about how he looked at the Giants and how he looked at the Dodgers being a kid in the 40s into the 50s. The Giants, oddly enough, didn't really bother my father. He didn't have ill will towards the Giants, but keep in mind what time period it is. This is the years as my father's growing up where the Brooklyn Dodgers and the New York Yankees, I think, faced each other 8 times in the World Series between 41 and 56. Am I correct, Benny? Or I'm close. I know that.
It's
But
close, yeah.
basically,
It was
yeah,
a
they're
lot.
they're always seeing each other, and the Yankees I think win 7 of the 8, oddly enough. But the Giants weren't really the team that he hated. He was actually okay with the Giants, and a great story for you when the shot heard round the world was hit by Bobby Thompson off Brankert, and the Giants win the pennant. The Giants win the pennant. One of the most famous calls in the history of this game. My father was a young accountant at the time, and he and his friends cut out from work to go see that game. The Giants and the Dodgers fighting for the right to win the pennant and go to the World Series. There was no wild card in those days. This was it. Whoever wins this after how many games in the season, Benny?
154 back then, right?
Yeah, you play 154 games. Somehow they both wind up tied. The Giants get the home game at the Polo Grounds. My father and his friends cut out from work. They go. Of course, my father's rooting for the Giants. He hates the Dodgers. Giants win. Bobby Thompson with an unbelievable shot heard around the world to win the pennant. The newspapers, of course, took many pictures of that day and the crowd that came to see that game and that legendary game that we still talk about. How many years later is this now, Benny? My
74
God, it's been a
years.
long time. Yeah,
Three-quarters of
70.
a
Oh my
century.
God. Yeah, pretty much. And the newspapers the next day had a shot of the crowd leaving the Polo Grounds in jubilance. And in the middle of the crowd, and my father had saved the newspaper, so I've seen it for myself, is a picture of my dad and all his friends who cut up from work. Oops.
Well,
Oops.
what are the odds on that? I mean,
It's astronomical. How many people were at that game, Benny? The Polo
right.
Grounds was big.
Yeah.
Seated a lot of people.
There had
I
to be
mean, there was still
50,000 people, and they caught your dad
right.
out of.
Right, right. And there he is. He's young. He's like 19, good looking young man with his buddies. Everybody's got a smile on their face. They just saw a history. I don't know if they knew it at the time. You know, I wish I could bring my dad back and go, did you know at the time what you were seeing? You know, because I would ask that now. I don't think the 10-year-old in me asked that when he would tell me the story of the time. So anyway, the next day at work, uh-oh, it's a newspaper. Back then, the newspaper is the internet. Everybody reads the newspaper.
Right.
That
Oh
game
yeah.
was a big deal. It was front page basically. And there's this shot of my father with his friends cutting out from work. So the boss takes the paper. It's almost like a scene in a movie. Takes the paper and tosses it on the desk, and he goes, "Can I ask you knuckleheads one thing? Why didn't you take me?" Which I found hilarious. They were all figuring they were in huge trouble, and instead it was like, I thought I set up a system of trust here. I'm a good boss. You don't even ask me.
So
So that
that's
was
why he was mad. He wasn't mad they went.
yeah,
He was mad they
that
went
was
without him.
yeah, yeah. I mean, they didn't think that the boss would go for that, and I can understand it. They're teenagers. They were probably like, "Yo, we got to go to this game." And
Right.
like you said, my father grew up in the Bronx by Yankee Stadium, but they walked to the Polo Grounds. They were
I
able to
think it was
walk. It was 1.1
1.1
miles,
miles,
I
wasn't
think.
it? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So they walked. They walked to the game, and like you said, Ebbets Field is what, 18 miles away? That's nothing. Even in those days, you take a train, take a bus, do whatever. You're there.
30
You're there
minutes,
in
maybe
within a half
tops. Yeah.
hour.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, you're there. All three parks, that triangle of baseball beauty that was going on in New York in the 1950s. I'm sorry, it's still the most special time period. After all, you got a song about Willie, Mickey, and the Duke.
And the Duke, right? And
Case closed.
we're gonna look at them in a little
As
bit
far
too.
as what that decade,
But it's
yeah,
funny,
what
three
that
teams
decade
within
meant to
18
baseball.
miles. I mean, with the rivalry though, they could have been like 18,000 miles apart. They were so close, but yet so far.
A huge divide because all three fan bases were passionate, and they all took different paths to get there. The Brooklyn Dodgers was the cozy one of the three. They had the most quaint
Yes, they did.
atmosphere and the most neighborhood.
Yeah, very intimate. I mean, it wasn't that big of a stadium. I don't think they didn't hold as much as the Yankee Stadium or the Polo Grounds. Uh-oh. Are you there, sir?
It was much more quaint. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, it was much more quaint than Polo Grounds, but Giant fans had more long-term lineage through families and stuff. I think they were still Big Brother until, like I said, Babe Ruth gets to the Yankees. Then everything changes, Benny.
Right. Well, I mean, a lot of people then even were probably they still remember the Giants of the 20s and the teams under John McGraw who won a lot of pennants, a lot of World Series. Yep. Lost Jimmy. Hello, Jason. Bad internet. I don't know if it's him or me. I just did a 2-hour and 45-minute radio show that I did unscathed. Now, we did have some bad weather a couple of days ago. I don't know if you were, whoever's listening, if you were with us on Wednesday with Nikita and I during When It Was Real. And right at 8:50, I heard this giant boom outside, and there's Jimmy. Here he is. All right. Yeah, I was telling him about Wednesday night when I heard this giant sonic boom, and I got kicked off the air. My whole computer locked up. But Jimmy, you know what? Let me do this.
Okay.
Let me get to our analysis here. All right. Now, can you see that, or you need me to read it to you? No, Jason, I don't know. Something happened because I called Spectrum, and it was an outage in my whole area. It wasn't just me, so I felt a little bit better. I thought maybe it was my computer at first, but I don't know. I mean, the weather here isn't that great. I don't know how it is by Jimmy, but Jimmy's kind of. You there, Jim?
Yeah, can you hear me, bro?
Yes. Yeah. Can you see the graphic with first base?
Of course not. I'm blind.
Okay. All right. I'm going to read you the stats, and we're going to do our usual bumball metrics breakdown. We're going to give 1 to the best team, 3 to the worst, not worst team, best player, and I'll be the scorekeeper. We'll tally it up at the end. So first base, you got Whitey Lockman for the 54 Giants. So it's going to be 54 Giants, 55 Brooklyn Dodgers, 56 Yankees. So you got Whitey Lockman, 1660, 251. 55 Dodgers, Gil Hodges, 27-102, 289 with an All-Star nomination. And Bill Skowron for the Yankees, 23-90 and a 308 batting average.
Hodges, Moose, 50.
You got
Giants.
You got Hodges, Moose, and Whitey in that order, correct? Did I hear that right? You picked Hodges first?
What about?
All right.
What about Gil Hodges?
I'm sorry?
Hodges is great. As a Hall of Famer. Hodges is. I want Gil Hodges, don't you?
Oh, yeah. I have Hodges, Moose, and then Whitey. Pretty cut and dried.
Yeah. Now this one's pretty cut and dry, Benny. This one's pretty cut and dry. Moose was good too. Those are awesome numbers by Moose.
Yeah, not bad at all. Nice average too. I didn't, Moose wasn't always an average hitter, but
yeah,
damn good average. All right, let's.
No, that's a damn good season. Yeah.
Yep. Second base, we got Davey Williams, 946, 222. Brooklyn Jr. Gilliam, 740 and 249. And Yankees Billy Martin, 949. 264, and Billy Martin made the All-Star team.
Yeah, Billy gets it, man.
Yeah, Billy gets it.
Billy gets it, and then there's Junior. And then there's Junior. Wow, what a batting average. That's surprisingly low for the Giants, right? What was that, 220-something? Ugh.
222, yeah, Dave. Not familiar with Davey Williams. Not sure how long he stuck around for.
No, but he was there at the right time. He must have done something right to be in that lineup.
It's Martin, Gilliam, and then Davey. All right, let's look at.
Yeah, look at Billy winning the category.
Yes, yeah, Billy was very consistent. Never never had that monster season, but he always, he always contributed. And the fact that with a line like that, he's making the All-Star team just shows his value, like his overall value.
It's not just what you hit. It's more importantly when you hit it. Right. And Billy was like a 250. What was his lifetime? 257 lifetime hitter, but always in the clutch. He is a World Series MVP, And the World Series where he comes in out of nowhere in the infield to make the shoestring catch against the Brooklyn Dodgers in that one World Series is an unbelievable hustle play.
That
Billy
was that
Martin was all about hustle.
right. And teamwork.
Oh yeah.
Great
Oh
Yankee.
yeah.
Great
Love Billy.
Yankee.
Oh,
Oh God.
broke his heart to be traded. Broke his heart
Yes.
when he was
They,
traded. And they
I read
traded
a
him for
book.
the very thing that. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I read a book by Mickey Mantle a long, long time ago, and it talked about Billy, and it talked about how Billy, once he got traded, because he was a Yankee, and then after he got traded, he bounced around all over the place after that, and I don't, I mean, never the same. He was born to be a Yankee.
He was. He loved the team so much, and it's ironic to me that the very thing he was traded away for, his personality, is the very thing that made George Steinbrenner bring him back, oddly enough, to fix the Yankees, and then fire him and rehire him 5 different times. Billy Martin was born to be a Yankee, but was also born to be a baseball gypsy. And what I mean by that is because of his strong, fierce personality, nobody was ever going to tell Billy how to do things. That's why Billy needed to ride his own horse, and ride his own horse he did. When he was a
Right,
manager, he was definitely a traveling gypsy that fixed every mess he ever walked into. It was only when he was in the Yankee uniform that he was truly in his most perfect baseball form, and everybody knew it. And that's why his number was on the wall in Monument Park. He's a great Yankee, like you said.
right. Jimmy, let me ask you a question because as you're talking, I'm thinking of
Yeah.
something. Listening to Aaron Boone during a press conference
Yeah.
after they've absolutely sucked, and he spins it. They had good at bats, and I mean, if Billy Martin's listening to Aaron Boone, what does Billy Martin say?
Well, you know what's funny? In between Billy Martin and Aaron Boone lies the truth. If Aaron Boone once in a while would call out his players, I would be very good with that, and we wouldn't be having the discussion about how Aaron Boone always spins something. So in between lies the truth. If Billy Martin had not been always so abrasive with people and taken a little off the fastball, then perhaps Billy would have had a much more sustained career and not have to be the baseball gypsy and move from place to place to place. So in between lies the truth. We want more fire out of Aaron Boone. And while as much as I love Billy and his fire, it's his fire that ultimately led to the end of his life. Let's face it.
But how many teams did he manage? He managed the Tigers, he managed the Twins, right?
Yes,
He managed the A's, he
yes,
managed the Rangers, and the Yankees. And
yes,
didn't
yes.
he win? Didn't he win in all those places?
Every, everywhere. He won everywhere with every team, and they were all in the doldrums until he got there, and that includes the Yankees. Because when Billy Martin gets to the Yankees, they're playing at Chase Stadium for God's sakes, while the great Yankee Stadium is being renovated, and they're so blah. They're so blah. And his first full year, they get to the World Series. His second full year, they get Reggie and they win the World Series. With
Right,
Texas was in nowhere land. He makes Texas relevant again. Same thing with every other, especially Oakland. Oakland is one of the best examples of all because the A's of yesteryear are gone. It's a terrible, terrible team. But somehow Billy turns it into his brand of baseball and works with what he's got, and it becomes Billy Ball, and the A's are good again. And Ricky Henderson gets to take off. So it's just the guy was just a genius no matter where he went. Aaron Boone, once in a while, I'd appreciate it if he said, yeah, he sucks right now. He needs to pick it up. That doesn't make him a
right,
dick. Once in a while, you got to do stuff like that. Aaron Boone's very safe.
right. No, I agree. No, I mean Billy would get fired, but then Billy would get right. He would get hired, right? I mean, didn't have any problem
Well,
getting
who
a
doesn't
job.
want him? No. Well, why would he? Why would he? You know you're getting a genius. You know you're going to get somebody that's going to kick your gut. Listen, if I'm writing the checks, if I'm an owner, and I'm writing the checks to the teams we talked about, like the Minnesota Twins, and right before the time Billy got there, or the Rangers before Billy got it. I'm writing out these checks, and this team is shit. I want someone to come in and kick them in the fanny and teach them how to play baseball because my manager that I'm bringing in is a World Series MVP and a great Yankee. What franchise is not going to want that? Who
Right.
did Joe Torre manage after he left the Yankees? Who asked for his services? The Dodgers.
Dodgers, right?
The mighty Los Angeles Dodgers wanted Joe Torre. You're damn right they did.
Yeah. I mean, that didn't seem right, but yeah, it wasn't the same after he left the
No,
Yankees.
it didn't feel right. It didn't feel right, but it didn't feel right. But I'll tell you what, if Joe Torre's going to go anywhere, at least wear a uniform with a team with great history. I didn't get sick seeing him in that uniform. I was just like, okay, he's in a Dodger uniform. You know, if you put him in like the Nationals uniform, I'm going to be very confused.
Right. Right. I hear you. All right. Let's move on to shortstop. We got Giants Alvin Dark, 20 homers, 70 ribbies, 293, All-Star, fifth in the
What a
MVP.
season.
Nice season.
What a season.
Pee Wee Reese,
Oh, yeah.
1061, 282 average, ninth in the MVP. And
Nice.
Gil McDougall,
Nice.
1356, 311, All-Star, seventh in the MVP.
Oh.
That's a tough one, right?
Oh my God, Benny. Oh man, I'm gonna go with Alvin first.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Now here's the conundrum. And stay with me. Here's the conundrum. You got Gil, who's seventh in MVP voting. You got Pee Wee, who's ninth in MVP voting, if I understood you correctly.
Yes, correct.
And you're asking me to choose between you. And you're asking me to choose. Now, this is about the season. You're asking me to choose between Gil McDougall's 311 and Pee Wee Reese and everything else he brings to the Brooklyn Dodgers as their captain. Oh, I'm going to take Pee Wee Reese.
All right.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm taking Pee Wee Reese.
I can't really argue with you.
I'm taking Pee Wee Reese for the. That's the guy who put his arm around Jackie Robinson and told everybody else, "Hey, calm the fuck down. He's my teammate. I got his back. You guys better be colorblind for the next 2 hours." You know what I mean? He was the leader. He's the emotional leader of that team. He's the captain. He's the everything. Ted Williams once said that if Phil Rizzuto had been a Red Sox, they would have had all those rings. He was talking about the shortstop position. Without Pee Wee Reese, I mean, does 55 happen? No. I mean, without many others, it doesn't happen either. But no, I'm going to take Pee Wee Reese in 1955 as his overall importance. There's not that much of a gap between those two in that season to tell me that I'm going to take Gil McDougall over Pee Wee. No way. Pee Wee Reese, no way. Second, Pee Wee.
Yeah.
Third,
no, I can't argue. I mean, you got to take all the intangibles into account too, and it is Pee Wee Reese.
It's a great year for Gil. It is. Look, this is the hardest one because all three of these seasons are fantastic.
And isn't this the first year he replaces Rizzuto? I believe.
Wow, there's some big ass shoes.
I think they released Rizzuto in '56. I believe they did.
I think you're right. What a sad way, a bitter way if I was Phil to go out because you just lost to the Dodgers in '55. And you have all that history and all those rings. Phil, former World Series MVP in 1950 for the Yankees. I wonder how Phil felt. I didn't get my shot again because, oddly enough, in '56 they do get that rematch. They get it, and the Yankees win. And Phil's not there for that. That must have hurt. That would have hurt me. Holy cow!
All right, third base. Giants Hank Thompson, 2686, 263. The great Jackie Robinson, 836, 256. This is right at the end of, kind of the tail end of his career. And then Andy Carey, 750 and 237.
Wow. Very surprising with number 2 and 3 with the numbers. I wasn't expecting that. It's got to go to the Giants easily.
Yeah.
How come I'm not familiar with this man?
Yeah, I mean, some of these guys just kind of flew under the radar. And I don't
bad season. He's got the home runs. He's got the Got the homers, got the RBIs.
Yeah, I'm gonna look him up real quick.
Yeah, I don't remember hearing anything about him in the past. My father never even mentioned
Actually,
him.
played from 43 to 56. All right. He played in the Negro Leagues until 49, and had a couple of good seasons. Of 53, he was 24-74, 302, and this year had a 26-86. Next year 17-63, and then he's out of base.
He was
out of
pretty
baseball
important.
at 30.
He was.
Yeah. Finished with a 275 lifetime average. Not too bad.
No, he's pretty good. I'm surprised my father never talked to me about him. Look, I got to give the second spot to Jackie. I'm sorry. I'm still going to take Jackie. And look at the Yankees winding up in third. What's going on here?
Yeah, twice. All right, well, we might change that here in a little bit. Left field, Monty Irvin, 1964-262. Sandy Amoros.
Ooh.
That was the guy that robbed Yogi Berra, right? 10,
did he?
51, 247. And Elston Howard, 5, 34, 262.
Man, these are weird numbers, dude.
Yeah, I was very surprised that the Yankees. Obviously Mickey's going to be a little bit different than Yogi, but not a lot of dominance here.
Not at all. Oh God. One more time for me. I'm sorry, Ben.
No worries. So you got Monty Irvin, 1964, 262. Sandy Amoros, 1051, 247. And Ellie Howard, 534, 262.
It goes in the order that you just read them.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3.
That's the order. It's Monty. It's Amoros, and it's Ellie. And Ellie's not playing much yet. You know, obviously, those numbers are very minuscule for Elston Howard, a future MVP.
We'll read some of the bench guys because, he didn't play a full season.
Right.
But he had the most at bats. I think Casey was platooning him. All right. Now, this is my favorite one here. Look at it. All right. Center field, Willie Mays, 41, 110, 345, All-Star, MVP, won the batting title.
Wow.
The Duke, 42, 136, 309, All-Star, MVP, runner-up. Mantle, 52, 130, All-Star, 353 average, All-Star, MVP, Triple Crown. This is incredible.
This is ridiculous.
Right.
This is like Ruth versus Ruth. Like take three of Babe Ruth's, typical. What the hell?
I mean, they should be 1-1-1.
Who knows? But since it is the Bumball metrics and we're gonna be forced, it's Mickey, Triple Crown, World Series champion. Am I missing something?
No.
It's Mickey.
No, I mean
Mickey's first. So now the next question is Willie won the MVP too over in the National League, right?
Right. Yep.
So here's the hilarity of this. We got to put Duke Snider. Read me Duke Snider's numbers again.
Yeah, in last place with a line of 42, 136, and 309. MVP runner-up.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. That's your third place finisher, Duke Snider. Because let's face it. All three with the bat that year are lethal. However, Mickey Mantle, the athlete, Willie Mays, the athlete, they're definitely more athletic than Duke. I know Duke was great at what he did, and Duke was great. But he's not Willie athletically, and he certainly wasn't Mickey athletically.
Duke was a decent center fielder, but I don't think you could put him in the same category as a Mantle or a Mays.
No, especially not Willie Mays. But no, you
Yeah.
can't put him with Mickey either.
No, Duke's not winning any Gold Gloves.
No. Duke was
All right.
fantastic. Duke is a legend. Duke is amazing. I mean, he's in the song Willie, Mickey, and the Duke, and there it is, right there, folks. Willie, Mickey, and the Duke, right there.
All right.
Crazy numbers.
Yeah, that's insane. Right field. All right, Don Mueller. I guess it's Mueller. 471, 342, All-Star, and then came in 12th in the MVP. For the Dodgers, the Reading Rifle, the great Carl Furillo, very underrated player. 26, 95, 314, 21st MVP, 21st place, and then Hank Bauer, 26, 84, but a 241 average. What do you think?
Are you going to be mad at me if I say I want Carl Furillo first? I want Furillo first.
No, I was thinking the exact same thing.
Yeah, I want Furillo first because the power numbers are so superior to that amazing 342 average that Mueller pulled off. I'm like, wow. And we'll get to that in a second. I'm going to ask you to look up this guy Mueller's career because, like, he hit 342 and won a ring, and I don't even know who he is. And that's embarrassing. I'm like, who is this guy? So I'm curious, like, how do you hit 342? And I don't, my father never mentioned you. This is fascinating. Furillo's got to be number one, though, because he did hit 314, right? I mean, he's hitting 314 with those power numbers. I'm going with Furillo. Then I'm going with Mueller. And the batting average is low for hammering Hank. So the numbers are there. The power numbers are there, but the average is low. So hammering, you know what's weird, Benny? A lot of the 56 lineup is coming in third.
All right, so I'm surprised your father didn't say anything about this guy because he led the National League at that year at 54 with 212 hits.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like he only had 380 plate appearances. He played the full season.
Right.
I think it looks like he missed one game.
Okay.
Yeah, 212 hits. Obviously not a power hitter. 340. Now the year before that hit 333. Year after that, he hit 306 with 83 ribbies. Retired with a lifetime 296 average for 12 seasons.
296. How many seasons?
12. Well, I mean, as far as full seasons, let me see.
Yeah.
From 50, so 8 full seasons. 58, he played about a half season with the White Sox. I mean, 8 or 9 seasons, really. Another guy out of the game, out of the game at 31, 32. I don't know why.
Right. Strange. Very strange. No, my father would talk to me about my father would talk to me about obviously the Bobby Thompson home run, Monty Irvin, Willie Mays, some of the pitchers.
Well, even Al Dark probably, right? Al Dark at short.
But this Alvin Dark, yeah. Well, he would always remind me because my first exposure to baseball was when the Oakland A's were in the process of winning those 3 straight championships in the early 70s, 72, 73, 74. That's the first time I glanced and looked at a baseball game with my dad for the first time because he called me in to watch it. And Alvin Dark was one of the managers during that 3-year run alongside Dick Williams. Alvin Dark was one of the managers, and then that's when he told me that Alvin Dark was a pretty damn good ball player, and I could see why.
Solid, yeah. So now we're doing Furillo first, right?
Yeah.
Mueller second, and then.
Yep.
Now Furillo, I mean, his nickname was the Reading Rifle because he had a shotgun for an arm too.
Right. Yeah. Why is he not talked about more, Benny?
Let me look at his stats. I mean, I think he's a lifetime 300 hitter.
I almost feel like he's their Roy White. I don't know why I say that. Probably because he's not talked about a lot. Campanella's talked about a lot. Robinson, Jackie's talked about a lot. Pee Wee Reese is talked about a lot. The Duke is talked about a lot. But he's not talked about a lot. So I wonder what are his lifetime numbers?
All right. Well, played 15 seasons. He missed 3 out because of the military.
One way or the other.
His line is 1,910 hits, 192 homers, 1,058 ribbies, lifetime average 299.
Nice.
Only struck out 436 times in his career. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He struck out 436 times in his entire career. Never struck out. The most he struck out in a season was 57 times. And you got 1, 2, 3, 5, 6 times top 25 in the MVP. And he won a batting title. Guy did a lot.
And he's not even talked about that much. Crazy.
Right. I agree. So, all right, we got that one. Oh, here's another. This is an interesting one. Catcher. All right, you got Wes Westrom. Made it easy for who's in third. 827, 187. Then you got Campy, Roy Campanello, 32, 107, 318 average, all-star, MVP. You got Yogi, 30, 105, 298, all-star MVP runner-up. What do you say?
Right? You got to give it to Campanella, right?
Absolutely.
Then it's Yogi, and how do you... For the catcher?
Western was a good defensive catcher, but he could not hit.
Wow. And he had a long career too, didn't he?
He did. Yeah, then he managed the Mets after they fired Casey. Or I don't know, maybe they didn't fire Casey. I think Casey broke his hip and he wasn't coming back, and then Western took over. All right. This one's going to take a little bit of time. So the bench, we got the Giants, 38 homers, 142 ribbies, combined average 248. The Dodgers, 28, 117, 249. And the Yankees, 18, 150, and 246. You want to know who was on the bench?
Yeah.
All right. Let's look at the Giants first. Let's see. 1954 New York Giants. All right. All right, you got Dusty Rhodes, American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. 1550, 341. He drove in 50 runs in 164 at bats. That's not too bad. He's the star of the bench for the Giants. All right. I think I lost Jimmy. He'll be back. (1955) Brooklyn Dodgers. Hopefully Jimmy's back when I get back from looking this up. Nope. He's gone. I'm not going to score this without Jimmy. So hopefully he comes back. Jason saying your internet's bad as well. It was bad on Wednesday, but I mean I did there's Jimmy. Let's hopefully Can you hear me? There he is. Can you hear me? I think you can't hear you, Jim. Oh, there he goes. I'm going to give it one more time. If not, I think we're going to have to just shut this one down. This is obviously not working. Sorry, guys. Florida's had some bad weather this past week, I'm thinking, and Jimmy's in the Panhandle. I'm closer to Tampa. I should be okay for today, but I'm not sure what kind of weather Jimmy's experiencing. All right, let's give this one last shot here. Can you hear me, sir?
Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Are you there?
Hello?
Are you there? Are you there?
I'm here. I'm here.
All right.
Yes, sir.
I don't know what's going on.
Did you hear my
but...
comments about the All right. Well, yeah, and I'm hearing some thunder in the background. So, did you hear my comment about the star of the Giants bench? In the 54 Giants was Dusty Rhodes with 50 ribbies and 164 at bats, and he had 341.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's huge. Any other names of note on there or no? You don't have
No, not really. It was that was it. And then
all right. So what do the Dodgers got?
Believe it or not, the most production from the Dodgers, Don Zimmer, 15 homers, 50 ribbies, 239 average, but yeah.
Don Zimmer hit 15 home runs and knocked in 50 runs. That's like his zenith. Wow.
Right. In only 88 games. Not bad.
Okay. And real quick, before you get to the Yankees, what are the numbers between the benches between the Giants and the Dodgers? Real quick.
All right. Let me read them back real quick. Giants, 38 homers, 142 ribbies, 248 average. The averages are really close.
Yeah.
Dodgers, 28, 117, 249. Yankees,
right,
18.
Yeah, no, just stop right there. We'll get to the Yankees next. But right now, the Giants bench is definitely better than the Dodgers, and you got Dusty Rhodes doing that coming off the bench. So right now, the Giants are ahead of the Dodgers. Okay, give me the 56 Yanks.
I don't think the Yankees are going to topple either one of them, but hang on.
All right. Dusty Rhodes, man, living the American dream. Wow.
Yeah. God Dole. All right. Oh, well, nice bench for the Yankees. Joe Collins. Okay. Yeah, Joe Collins, 7 homers, 43 ribbies, 225 average, but he was a utility guy. Nice. Jerry Coleman.
Yeah.
No power. Then Bob Serve. Serve hit 304 with 3 homers and 25 ribbies, only 115 at bats.
All right. Good.
Yeah, nothing really. Enos Slaughter was still on the team, only 83 at bats with a 289 average, 4 ribbies.
No, he was important. Yeah, he was important though. He actually helped them. My father told me the stories of how old man Enos Slaughter came and could still stir shit, Benny. You know, he did some running for the Yankees. I remember it was running highlights. My father told me about how Slaughter teared around the bases and in some key postseason moment, maybe you recall it, but I know that there was a moment in the Yankee uniform that he had done it, and he had really been known to do it when he was a Cardinal, I believe. So Slaughter
he scored from first on a single, right?
Right. Yes.
In the World Series.
Having Slaughter
against the Red Sox.
Having Enos Slaughter. Yeah. So give me the numbers total between the bench of the Dodgers and the Yankees now.
I want to look up Slaughter real quick. So Slaughter played on.
Oh God!
All right, I thought he was
Hall of Fame guy. Great.
Yeah, and
great
I thought
player.
he was. He came to the Yankees. He played till he was 43. Wow.
Yeah. Yes, he came later with the Yankees. Correct.
Yeah. Yankees were 18, 150, and 246. They got a lot of ribbies.
Yeah, they're getting it over the Dodger bench. The Dodger bench has no production in comparison. What's the ribby total for the Dodgers? It's much lower, isn't it?
117.
Yeah, no. You got to give it to and the Giants one more time, real fast for me.
38 homers, 142 ribbies, 248.
38 homers compared to how many for the Yankees?
18.
Yeah, it goes to the Giants, then it goes to the Yankees, then it goes to the Dodgers.
Yeah,
That's logical.
we're in agreement. We're in agreement. All
That's
right.
logical. And by the way, I know we were having technical problems earlier, but having Campanella and Berra was a really awesome matchup. By the way, that we
Oh,
didn't really get a
absolutely.
chance to.
Yeah,
I
another
mean,
one.
come on.
Yogi's runner up with like a Hall of Fame season.
Right,
All
exactly.
right, let me say the numbers first, then we can go to the pitching staff.
Sure.
Giants 69-34. These are the top 5 starters. 16 shutouts. Dodgers 56-29, 6 shutouts. Yankees 72-32, 9 shutouts. So let me break those down. $16 shutouts is hard to overlook. Let's see.
It's hard to overlook, but who won? But what staff won the most games?
All right. Well, yeah, true. Well, you got John Antonelli was 21-7 that year for the Giants with 6 shutouts.
Wow.
And he came in third in the MVP.
That's an incredible season. That's an incredible season.
Some guy, Ruben Gomez, 17-9 with 4 shutouts.
Some guy that goes 17-9.
Sal LaBarbera-Magli, 14-6 with a shutout.
Right.
Jim Hearn, 8-8 with 2 shutouts, and Don Little, Liddle, 9-4 with 3 shutouts. All right. So you had obviously Antonelli was the ace. Look at the Dodgers.
Look at Sal the Barber. He's probably the biggest name on that staff, having a nice, modest 14-6 season. By the way.
What a name, Sal the Barber. I mean, I love Babe.
He's one of those giants my father used to tell. He's one of those giants my father used to tell me about. Gee, I wonder why. When you're Sal the Barber Magli and you're good, yeah, you're going to get talked about for a long time to come.
All right, for the Dodgers, 55. Newcomb, Don Newcomb was 20-5 with 1 shutout, and he came in 7th in the MVP. Carl Erskine, 11-8, 2 shutouts. Johnny Padres, the great Johnny, the very good Johnny Padres, was 9-10 with 2 shutouts. Billy Lowe's, who's a very good pitcher, 10-4, and then Russ Meyer, who I never heard of, 6-2 with 1 shutout. That's their starting staff. And then we'll go to our 56 Yankees.
You know, Benny, real quick before you read me the Yankee numbers, you know, I find that amazing. Johnny Padres, you know, you started to call him the great Johnny Padres. In a lot of ways, to the Brooklyn fans, he is the great Johnny Padres, and it's fascinating that you told me just now that Johnny Padres went 9-10. If I'm not mistaken, was Johnny Padres completely untouchable in the World Series when they won that World Series?
The 55 World Series?
Yeah.
Let's take a look, see.
Yeah. For some reason, I remember reading that Johnny Padres was like very heroic when they got that ring that year. You got to help me out there. If I'm off, I apologize, folks. But
no, let's take a look.
For a guy that went 9-10, you know, a very modest season on a team that's going to win a championship, there's a reason why his name is so prominent in my mind. And
no, 55 World Series, 2-0, 2 starts, pitched 2 complete games, 2 complete games. 1 was a shutout. Gave up a total of 2 earned runs.
There it is. That's why I remember Johnny Padres so much, because my father told me the 1 year, finally. You know, I painted the picture earlier what it was like going to school, going to high school, and who your friends were and who you rooted for. And in 55, the Dodgers finally get their 1 title. They had been around since 1884 or something, 83 or something like that. They finally get their championship. And my father I remember him telling me, this guy, Johnny Padres, who was okay. You see, this staff, when you said Don Newcomb, oh man, my father would tell me stories about Don Newcomb. Don Newcomb was a stud for the Brooklyn Dodgers back in the day, but Johnny Padres wasn't. And then the World Series comes and they can't hit him. My father, I can feel though, he's still haunted by it. Johnny Padres became a legend just for that. And that just for that was what did you just tell me? He gave up 2 runs in two complete games in the World Series?
Yeah. And his
Wow.
lifetime, he pitched in
Wow.
He pitched in 4 series.
That's a wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go on. How did he
Pitched
do in the other
4
ones?
series, and he's got 3 rings, Padres. And he's
Jesus.
let's see.
Yeah. Yeah. Johnny Padres. Always heard about him.
Let me go back here. Yeah,
he's got to be a hero. They waited all their life. Their grandparents didn't see a title, but they did, thanks to him.
His career World Series 4-1 in 6 starts. 4-1.
It was amazing.
2 complete games, 1 shutout. ERA 2.11.
Unbelievable. He's one of those guys.
Only averaged 6.8 hits per 9 innings in the World Series.
Isn't that incredible? You know, he's not the sexiest name. He's not a Hall of Fame career guy, but for some reason, if you hand him the ball in a World Series game, you're in trouble. He believes in himself.
Yeah.
How do you explain that? When someone can selectively just seize a moment repeatedly, but yet not be a Cy Young, a Walter Johnson, I find it amazing that in the clutch he was. Those numbers you read are Pedro Martinez earned run average. What's going on there?
That's Whitey back in the day, right?
Of course it is. Nobody's won more World Series games than Whitey. Whitey Ford, the great Yankee. Nobody. That guy but that guy had a great career, though. You know, I mean, Johnny Padres didn't necessarily have a great career, but God, in the postseason.
I mean, it looks like he's got 148 wins and he's got 3 World Series rings. He threw 24 shutouts. I mean, not a horrible pitcher.
No, dude, I'd be thrilled with myself. All I'm saying is he's not, the Hall of Fame level pitcher, but under the crunch, he was.
Let's see who was on the 56 Yankees staff.
We better take this one. I doubt it, though. The Giants staff the numbers sound really good so far.
I don't know. Yeah, all right. No, this is like very consistent here, though. You ready? You got Whitey is at 19-6.
Okay.
2 shutouts. Whitey came in 3rd in the Cy Young, and he won the All-Star, and believe he placed in the MVP. Johnny Cooks, the Cooks, 18-9.
Nice.
With 3 shutouts. All-Star, he's in the MVP. Don Larson, 11-5, and we know what he did, right?
Oh, he threw a perfect game in the World Series.
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
The 4th starter is Tom Sturdivant. The 4th starter is 16-8 with 2 shutouts. And then Bob Turley, Bullet Bob Turley, 5th starter, 8-4. 8-4.
Benny, this is over. The Yankees win this. They win this category. It's not even. You know what's funny? The Giants staff is very impressive, but this is not even close in my mind. Not the names you just read. There's a lot of talent going on.
That's consistency, like even distribution of wins.
Right.
I mean, everybody. The lowest winning percentage is 3 of them are at 667. That's the lowest.
Yeah, and the shutouts, while they're very, very impressive, the 16 shutouts I think you said the Giants threw that year. You got to remember who our manager is. It's the very thing that years later got him bounced. Casey Stengel didn't believe in he was actually ahead of his time. He believed in relief and taking the guy out. Remember, Whitey wasn't getting used enough. That's why they got rid of Casey.
Whitey only got 30 starts that year.
Exactly. Whitey Ford could have probably been like 25 and whatever that year. But that's what happened in 61 when Hap became the manager and gave him the ball every 4th day. Right.
Whitey wins 25 games, right?
There you go. That was like the 25-4 season or something like that. That was Yes. But listen, Casey was like a Tony La Russa before Tony La Russa, a lot more lovable, by the way, because he's Casey Stengel. But he was a forward thinker. He was kind of like the analytics that we have today before that stuff. Like La Russa was ahead of his time too. Casey, it worked for Casey. It worked all the way up until 1960 with 10 pennants and 7 championships. So, Casey's still Casey at the end of the day. But this goes to the Yankees, and then this goes to the Giants, and then this goes to the Dodgers. That's the order I got.
Yeah, I would agree with that. 2, Brooklyn 3. All right. Very, of course, relief pitching wasn't a thing back then, but let's see.
Mm-hmm.
You got Marv Grissom, 10-7 with 17 saves for the Giants. Ed Roebuck. I remember Ed Roebuck, 5-6 with 12 saves. And Yankees had Tom Morgan, 6 wins, 7 losses, 11 saves.
Well, the Giants win this one.
Yep. It's a pick 'em for the Yankees.
Two-spot go to the Dodgers.
We've got one more. Let me hang on one second. I want to see their respective ERAs, maybe. Morgan's ERA is 4.16. And Ed Roebuck played. I remember him from when I was a kid. So he was around for a long time.
Okay.
Ed Roebuck.
Yeah, interestingly enough, I don't remember the Yankees having a like closer type back during this time period.
Not
Anyway.
Louis Arroyo, right?
Right. There was Joe Page in the late 40s. My father used to tell me about Joe Page. But I guess until Arroyo, you really don't see somebody accumulating saves on a higher level.
Yeah. Actually, that was his rookie season, Roebuck. 5-6 with a 4.71 ERA.
That's not good. It's not good.
No, not at all good. No. 10.3 hits per 9 innings.
Yeah. No, that's not good. You got to give it to the Dodgers, right? In second.
No, you meant the Yankees, right? Because
right. Correct. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Roebuck played for the Dodgers. Yeah, Morgan's ERA was
sorry.
way lower.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Last but not least, we got the manager. So Leo was 97-57. Alston was 98-55, and Casey was 97-57. I mean, how do you even pick?
Benny, this is impossible. We might be here a while, and let me explain the strength and argument for all three of them. Leo DeRocher. First of all, we know how great all three of these managers are. These are the greatest of the greatest managers. They're in every top whatever conversation. Agreed, Benny?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. So you got DeRocher, and the Giants have not won a championship since 1933, I want to say at this point. So the proud old Papa Bear of New York City has been waiting a while. And to get a ring, and to not only get the ring that year for the first time in decades for the city of Manhattan and the fans that followed the New York Giants, you have beaten the Cleveland Indians, who won 111 games that year, surpassing the 1927 110 wins of the New York Yankees, Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig. Murderers Row. So this is the positives as to why Leo DeRocher could get this. Now we get to Mr. Alston, correct, Benny?
Yeah.
You're talking about a city with the most loyal fan base of the three. We might be Yankee fans, but I'm not going to say that the passion beats harder in a Yankee fan's heart as a whole the way it did in that Brooklyn neighborhood. Since the early 1880s all the way up until 1955, that place had devoted grandfathers, fathers, sons, grandchildren, mothers, sisters, brothers, everybody in the neighborhood going to those games. The players would walk home to their apartments and play stickball. That's really where that stuff was happening the most, was in that neighborhood. You finally get a championship. You deliver a championship to that city after all those years. That is, and it was oddly and sadly enough the only one that Brooklyn ever got, because the next thing you know, they're over in California and Los Angeles and they've moved. But that's an incredible accomplishment. You finally toppled the team that beat you 7 times.
And he did it in his second season as a manager. I mean,
Yeah,
Alston.
you finally beat the Yankees, them bums. What is the name of our show, Benny? As much as we love the Yankees, it's the baseball bums. It's a tip of the cap, not just to the
Right.
Dodgers. We've been trying to paint a picture of what New York baseball was like in the zenith, the golden age of Major League Baseball in the 1950s. It was the greatest time period ever for New York City baseball and for Major League Baseball. It still was America's pastime in its finest form. And you have this happening in New York. You have this happening in Brooklyn. You have this happening in the Bronx. Television is just getting started. People are still living vicariously through newspapers. Joe DiMaggio's hitting streak was national news every day. The nation wanted to know, did Joe get a hit? Because we're in the middle of getting into World War freaking II.
Right.
So this is just an unbelievable time period here. So what DeRocher's accomplished is incredible. What Alston has accomplished is incredible. And then you get to Casey. And you have not only not been fired, because in the 70s, if you're George Steinbrenner and you lose to the Dodgers, you're probably going to get fired. He had to watch the Giants and then the Dodgers win World Series. Was the Yankee luster gone? Now, trust me, we don't have the internet back then, but people are asking that question. You got the Giants won the World Series in 54, stopping, by the way, when the Giants and the Dodgers win their 2, it's coming off the Yankees winning 5 in a row. So picture what New York culture was like.
Right.
Picture what New York culture was like. Now the Giant fans in 54 and the Dodger fans get to give it back to the Yankee fans. Ha ha, your time has passed. No, it's not. Casey goes on to win 56, and they get right back at the Dodgers and they beat them. That in itself is an incredible accomplishment. On paper, the dilemma thankfully doesn't apply because this is about the season. But on paper, Casey Stengel is the greatest manager of the 3 we're talking about. However, this is my problem. Which one is the most impressive accomplishment? Is it DeRocher, the 21 years in between titles and beating the Indians who had just broken 1927 Yankees record? Is it the Dodgers getting that one World Series finally, the one that they'd looked for 75 years or so? Or is it the Yankees getting back to the top of the penthouse and saying, we're still kings? I got to be honest, Benny. I feel like the most impressive one is what Walter Alston did in his second year in Brooklyn.
Well, you snapped how many years Schneid? Like 70 years?
Yeah. And he stared the demon in the face. Listen, it was always the Yankees that stopped them every damn time. That must have been torture for the Dodger fans to love their team, to see them win so many pennants. Every time they got to the Yankees would beat them every damn time. And it went on for over a decade. They played multiple times in the World Series. It was always the Yankees that would win. And they finally did it. They finally did it. I think that's the most impressive of the 3. To start with.
I agree. I do agree. So then it's
okay. All right. So then we get to DeRocher and Stengel. And what's more impressive to you? Breaking a 21-year Schneid and reminding Major League Baseball and New York City that we were here first and we're the original team. We play in the National League. And by the way, this is our, I think that's their 5th championship in the city at that point before they leave. It's like, hey, we're still Papa Bear around here, if that makes any sense. So is that more impressive, the 21 years of breaking that and reminding everybody that the Giants are noble and royalty in the history of baseball? Because that's what that was. That 54 championship is very important. Or is it Casey Stengel with the mighty Mickey Mantle that year? The 56 team is still probably one of the more famous Yankee teams. What's more impressive to you?
I would give Leo the nod. I'm not a Leo fan, but I really would give Leo the nod.
I agree. I'm glad that I gave you that option because, that's a rough one, but I agree with you.
No, you're breaking even if you start the clock at 1901, you're breaking a 54-year schneid for the
Right.
Dodgers.
Right.
Versus how many did you say for the Giants?
The Giants hadn't won since '33, so it's a 21-year gap.
All right, no, hands down. Though, so that's 1 and 2.
I believe so.
Casey broke a 2-year schneid.
Right.
All
But it's
right, let
still
me.
impressive. Betty, don't let it
Of
get
course,
lost that how impressive it is, though, that the other two teams in the city have now had parades in your city. You're the Yankees, and you've had dominance. And the other two teams right in your backyard, you showed it at the beginning of the show how close they all were. And he overcame that in '56. He's like, you know what? Screw that. We got to get back to what we are. And thankfully they did. And Maris was around the corner. And Elston Howard, like we covered, was going to turn into what he was going to turn into. Whitey Ford was going to be set free. Good times were ahead. But Gacy made sure that stayed on course because that could have gone off course. Could you imagine if the Mets and the Red Sox win the next two World Series right now and we're Yankee fans? I mean, I'd be like, oh, that's great. What now?
right.
You know what I mean? Well, I'll tell you
I
what
got.
now. Casey said, I'll tell you what now. We're going to go back to being the Yankees, and they were. So that's impressive. And he comes in third.
Well, yeah, and I mean, 6 World Series in 8 years is nothing to shake a stick at.
No.
So I do have the results.
I think I'm going to be shocked, but go ahead.
All right. In third place,
Uh-oh.
1956 Yankees.
I figured that.
In second place, 55 Dodgers.
Right.
And in first place, the 54 Giants.
Wow.
Pretty close.
Yeah, what was the point differentials as far as
Yankees 26, Brooklyn 24, Giants 22.
Wow.
The Giants took the shortstop, third base, left field.
Yeah.
Bench.
The Yankees lost it during the lineup. When we were doing the position by position, I could feel it already. I was like, wow, they don't stack up.
Right. No,
Mickey
yeah, I mean,
did
you
all
had
the runs.
guys. I mean, like we came in third and short. McDougal had a good year, but you're going against Stark, who had a great year, and then Pee Wee Reese, who's Pee Wee Reese.
Right. I'm still taking Pee Wee Reese.
I mean, Andy Carey was a very ordinary ball player.
He had terrible batting average that year, Andy Carey. I think he told me he hit 237 or some shit like that.
Yeah. And
that doesn't work.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't dominate anywhere. I mean, starting pitching, yes, we got that, and second base, we got that.
Yep.
And
you know, it's odd, Benny. It's really odd. I shared with you during the week when we talk on the phone sometimes that I do have for some reason I have an affection for the New York Giants, the baseball team. I kind of do. I feel like yes, they were there first, and even though look, I'm a Yankee fan, and I'm thrilled to have been born into it with my father and stuff. I would never change anything.
Right.
But back in the day, if I had been a kid at that age, I might have been a Giant fan because I've got this thing about where do you play? And they played in Manhattan, and I love their uniform. I thought that they were badass. I got to give them their props. I'm not surprised to hear that the 54 team was the best.
Yeah.
I'm really not. And if you're really pressed to it, Willie, Mickey, or the Duke, let's just top it off with this, and then we'll wrap it up. If you're pressed to choose between Willie Mays, Mickey Mantle, or Duke Snider, who are you taking?
As far as
maybe we'll do bumball metrics on this on a show, but just very lightly now, off the top of your head, if you have to choose between those three, Willie, Mickey, or the Duke, who are you taking? Because I know who I'm taking. But you answer first, please. Think about it.
I mean, from a purist, I would almost have to say, just based on his numbers, Willie.
Yeah. Agreed.
I mean, Willie's got the homers. Willie's got, I love Mickey more than life, but I mean, hard to overlook 660 homers, a lifetime 302 average. I mean, unbelievable center fielder, could steal bases.
Yeah, it's the overall athleticism of the two. They were both obviously penthouse material, physically and athletically. But I'm sorry, Willie was, if there is such a thing, a little bit superior. You know, I thought that he ran like the wind, he hit like thunder. That catch in the '54 World Series is ridiculous.
Oh, that's
Who
yeah.
does that? Who
I
does
mean,
that? He's how Betty. By the way, how far away was he? The wall was 483, right, to the deepest
he
part of
wasn't
the
that
Polo
far
Grounds.
away. 'Cause by the time he turned around and spun and threw it back, he
Right.
was probably within 10 feet of the wall. No,
So he's a good 473 to 475 feet, running full speed at a ball that's been hit from home plate with his back turned. He has
right?
his back completely turned. It's not like he's running sideways trying to look at the ball. How did he even do that? He has his back turned. He somehow instantly programs how fast I have to run to where I have to run. Then he looks up and goes like this and does a behind the, over the shoulder catch with his back facing home plate. And then, like
Still
you said,
my favorite catch of all time.
yeah, and like you said, he turns around and fires a strike back to the what? To
Right?
the infield? Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm taking Willie, and yeah, he had more pops
And
too.
it's in the World Series. You know,
Right, right.
I mean, talk about a clutch catch.
Yep. Hit by.
Oh, Vic Wertz. Yeah.
There you go. I wasn't going to say Dusty Rhodes. I learned my lesson.
No. But I was thinking I believe Sandy Ambrose robbed Yogi of a hit, and Al Gianfrido was the one that robbed Joe D of a hit in the World Series.
Right, right.
I don't remember what year that
Have
was.
Didn't Ferrillo have a great catch too in one of the World Series?
He probably. I mean, that is a very underrated ball player. Carl Ferrillo was. I mean, he was a great ball player.
Why does he feel like
They're
they're
not
Paul
quite
O'Neill?
Hall of Fame, but damn close.
He feels like they're Paul
Yeah.
O'Neill to me. That's how he feels to me. I'm like, wow. Was
Right.
he a Dodger? Was he a Dodger for life? I was trying to ask that earlier.
Yeah, Ferrillo was. I mean, he was with the team after they moved to L.A.
Okay.
I think he retired in the early '60s. He played 15 seasons, I believe.
Why didn't they retire his number? He deserves it.
Yeah, and I think he lost three years to the military. So I mean, cut down on his. He might have had some. He might have been borderline Hall of Fame had he avoided the service, or if that wasn't.
If he missed 3 key seasons, which he obviously did, he was younger. Then if his batting average wound up over 300 for his career, yeah, I could see the argument. He was 299. Yeah. He's Kenny Lofton. He's 299. Kenny Lofton has a 299 lifetime batting average. Drives me crazy.
And they weren't giving out gold gloves back then, but I bet you he would have won a bucket load of them.
Yeah, probably. I think he did make a great catch in the World Series in one of them. I've seen a play where he does it. It's in the corner. Somehow he digs it out. He gets to it. I'm like, whoa.
And he had a hell of a throwing arm. So
yeah. Oh yeah.
That was good, Jim. Another great episode of the Baseball Bums in the Books.
You see, the Yankees don't always win. You see that?
Right. I think we're very fair, right?
Of course.
All right. Why don't you take us home, my friend? It's been a long night, and
sorry we had the technical difficulties. Thanks for standing by. You've been watching the Baseball Bums, and until next week, later.
Later.